Waves are the practice of water.
What is your practice? What do you practice on the outside? What do you practice on the inside?
I am your constant companion. I am your greatest helper or heaviest burden. I will push you onward or drag you down to failure. I am completely at your command. Show me exactly how you want something done, and after a few lessons, I will do it automatically. I am the servant of all great people, and alas, of all failures as well. Those who are failures, I have made failures. Take me, train me, be firm with me, and I will place the world at your feet. Be easy with me, and I will destroy you. Who am I? I am habit.
Waves are the practice of water. A marriage is the practice of lovers. Children are the practice of parents. Work is the practice of a laborer. The finite is the practice of the infinite. Time is the practice of timelessness. Creation is the practice of the uncreated. The manifest is the practice of the unmanifest. I am the practice of ultimate reality, a mystery of which I am a reflection. Yet, I too am practicing. I am practicing what I am becoming, and I am becoming what I am practicing.
Our way is not to sit to acquire something, it is to express our true nature. That is our practice. This should be true in your everyday life. To cook or to fix some food is not preparation, it is practice. To cook is not just to prepare food for someone or for yourself, it is to express your sincerity. So when you cook, you should express yourself in your activity in the kitchen. You should allow yourself plenty of time. You should work on it with nothing in your mind and without expecting anything. You should just cook. That is also an expression of our sincerity, a part of our practice. Whatever you do should be an expression of the same deep activity. We should appreciate what we are doing. There is no preparation for something else.
So everything in my life can be practice. I am becoming what I am practicing, and I am practicing what I am becoming.
Movement leads to movement. Drinking leads to drinking. Eating leads to eating. And so it goes, and so it goes. Deliberate practice, training conducted in solitude with no partner or teammate, is key to achieving transcendent skill, whether in a sport, in a vocation, or with a musical instrument. The musician practices music. The athlete practices athletics. The inner athlete practices everything.
I probably first picked up rec when I was like 3 or 4.
We were walking, and he said, "So, Corinna, what do you want to do when you grow up?" And I was like, he was a doctor, so I was like, well, a doctor? I mean, I want to get the right answer.
And I found out about this thing that people call studio furniture, which combines, art with physical and structural constraints.
That I discovered yoga. So I had a great teacher, and I said, oh, this is yoga. This is what I want to do.
The love of writing started with a love of story. I loved stories. I loved the sense of being transported to another world.
Triathlon's 3 events: swim, bike, and run. There's a 2.4-mile swim, a 112-mile bike, and a marathon, a 6.2-mile run.
The fight is won or lost far away from witnesses, behind the lines, in the gym and out there on the road, long before I dance under those lights.
I had already become pretty familiar with that through music and all that practice I did there. So I was used to that kind of tedious, meticulous approach to a subject.
There's nothing more, to me, terrifying than that white blank page at the start of a book. I ground myself through ritual, I would almost say, in that I do the same things. I write down my word count at the end of each day. I keep a log of that. I listen to music when I write. When I hit a creative wall, I like to walk. I need to be outside and I need to be moving. I can't break through a creative wall at the desk. That's hopeless. If I don't know what is wrong or what the next chapter should address, then I need to be in motion. The first thing that has to be there is a question. There has to be something that I don't know that I want to know from the story.
I keep a calendar with all my training schedule on it that my coach loads electronically that I can see from my phone or from my computer.
Well, I try to practice every day, early in the morning, and I love my own practice because I am alone.
We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit.
Practice, for me, is a process by which I repeat things in a sequential fashion with the goal of improvement, i.e. repetitive motion, repetitive thinking of the same situation. If you're looking at a procedure, you know you're going to do that procedure every time the same way. The knowledge is progressive and cumulative to the point in which a lot of it becomes automatic and your brain just fires. I see A, I do B. I see C, I do D. Okay? Not knowing is part of your practice because you're not going to know sometimes, right? So in that situation, if it's emergent, you just have a way to approach. You have to practice not knowing. And what do you do when you don't know? If I don't know where to begin, I have several mantras, but one of them is ABC, which is not really a mantra, but it's airway, breathing, circulation. But experience comes with practice, and it gets better and better.
I just know that practice is everything. No matter what you do, you are practicing something. And I'm always thinking, how do I want this to shape me? And the more practice you get, the more the muscle remembers what to do, and it's instinctive instead of having to think, is this right? Should I do this? If you're going to be good, there can be no hesitation. And you start slowly in one step, and the steps get smaller, but the smaller the steps, sometimes the more important they are.
Practicing is very important. I consider it a gift. I consider myself very much a student. I keep learning, and as I practice with my students, I keep learning too.
You know, self-discipline is the absolute mandate. You can't fake the time you spend in the chair writing. You know, so I know would-be writers who do a lot of research and a lot of thinking and outlining and talking, and the only thing that's missing is the time spent actually engaged in the work.
It feels like we're always moving towards a more protected society, less and less risk. I think we're losing the practice sometimes of taking risks, of putting ourselves out there and finding out who we really are. And to find out who we really are, you have to lay it on the line sometimes. Instead of cautioning people not to take a risk, we need to promote, put yourself out there, find out who you really are. Because in those moments, there is where you define who you are. And that can become a practice. And that can make your life richer and deeper and better every time you try something new.
The hermits were concerned solely with practice. Action was what they always stressed. A dying solitary indicated this rule as leading most directly to perfection. Never to teach another what one has not practiced oneself. Primitive man danced to find his centered, still point. It was dance that gave meaning to life.
If I don't practice, well, I find that something is missing.
I fail. I mean, this sport, the people that are successful are years and years and years of training every day, competing, training every day, competing.
It's over. With taking time off and resting, you can still be working out, you can still be eating right, you can still be stretching, you can still be just visualizing, mentally preparing yourself without having to be on a court. You can't just assume you're going to get there without doing anything. It's not just going to happen. You have to make it happen.
If I don't practice, I get depressed. If you don't practice, you become complacent. And you start slipping back and things are not as interesting. It makes me feel inadequate.
You can ask my wife how much fun I am to be around when I'm not writing. I just know that I'm a happier person when I'm engaged in it.
A lamp does not flicker in a place where no winds blow. So it is with a yogi who controls mind, intellect, and self, being absorbed in the depth within.
I have this banner that hangs above my bed that says, "Go Will, win state." Every morning I wake up and every night I go to bed, it says, "Go Will, win state." And so that's every day I see that goal. Well, I think the inside game, the mental game, all it does is give you confidence. And if you don't have confidence, you don't have anything. If you don't have confidence, you're gonna question everything. You're gonna second guess everything. Every night I visualize 3-4 points, maybe a game, just perfect, exactly how I want it. Every shot, every stroke, perfect. Play the point exactly how I want, and serve exactly. Just everything is just the best it can be. If you fail to prepare, you're prepared to fail. And that's visualization practice. If you don't get yourself mentally ready to go out there and play the best you can, you're not going to play the best you can. You have to work at it. I say tennis is 90% mental, 10% physical. It's also the emotions that if you cannot control yourself, you are going to explode, you're going to implode, you won't be able to do anything. You just want to like give up, you're just not going to care. And if you have to stay mentally strong through every single stroke, because if you like lose your focus, lose your thinking, it's going to go over the place, and you're not going to be able to do anything.
The last race was a huge breakthrough for me, because the next step in my journey is being willing to go really deep down in the hole and go to the dark places and keep racing. And I had a friend ask me today, my heart rate monitor failed to work at Texas. And he asked me, how did I know how to pace the marathon? And I said, I knew how to pace the marathon because I ran fast enough that I felt really badly the whole marathon. And that's when I knew I was in the right place. So the mental game is the biggest part. And that's the final frontier to explore for anyone trying to get to the next level. And if you're a pro, you're dealing in that final frontier constantly. The inside game's the most important part. And it starts with, long rides out here that last 6 hours when you're on your own and nobody else is out here. So you want to get to those dark places because you've got to figure out and learn how to get through them to get to the other side. I used to think that you had to do the I am statements. I'm fast, I'm strong. And what they're finding now is you have to use your name. Sue can do this. You have to identify. So when I race, they give us a body tag, a way to retrieve the body and identify it. But I always write the numbers of the women in my age group I'm racing on it, the range, so I know who I'm racing. And then I add a personal mantra so that when it gets hard, I look down and I know, why am I out here? For someone like me that has a comfortable job, a comfortable life, everything else, you've got to decide, do I really want to hurt that much?
There's a place artistically or creatively that I don't really have a good name for. I call it the room, for lack of better words. It's like a black box that you don't know what it is or where it is or really how to get to it. But if you can get there and then bring something out of it, it's this place apart from normal experience. And if you can get there and then bring something out from that space, that's what I'm kind of trying to do. Practice for me is about figuring out how to get there into the room and then cleaning out, it's like cleaning out the barnacles from the inside of a pipeline and making yourself a better conduit so that if you ever do or when you do and when you have something to bring out of there, you're a clearer conduit for whatever that is that might come out of there. So you don't get tripped up in technique or whatever else about yourself that might get in the way of that signal or whatever it is that's coming out of the black box,
When I practice, I try to make it also an inside practice. So it is not only an external practice, but it is very much an internal practice. And that remains with you after the class is over. First you have an image of the pose, you see, and then you try to make that image come alive in your own body. So it may take some time. So one should be patient and not force things and let the body guide you.
Well, visualization is really important. For emergencies, I'll break down a procedure that I haven't done in a long time. Let's say a cricothyrotomy. I have to remind myself how to do that. So I will go through the process in my brain while I'm driving. And the other way is you have an active visualization process when you actually do the procedure. So as you go through the motion of the procedure, for example, a lumbar tap, you have to go in between the vertebrae and you have to feel, because you can't see. It's not like I can see somebody's spinal canal. You kind of visualize with your hand with your finger, with your needle, you know, where you're going. And you listen, even though there is no sound, but you listen for the motion. Every time you're successful, that adds an extra success in the next procedure. Because now you know, you listen and you paid attention to that particular process. And every time you're unsuccessful, you know what not to do.
When you talk about you know, those moments of inside practice, when the writing's going really well for me, I never feel as if I'm shaping it or creating it or guiding it. It's more, it's almost more like taking dictation, and the conversations are, I'm not putting words in their mouth, you know, I'm taking the words and putting them on the page. That's something I've noticed that I do when things are going really well. I will catch myself, if you had a camera behind the computer screen, you would see when I'm writing dialogue exchanges, I will actually be mouthing the words as they're going back and forth, and I feel as if I'm listening or hearing a conversation play out or seeing it. You know, when it's really going well, I have those visuals, and at that point, that's the real joy of it. The most fun I will ever have at my desk is when I feel as if I've been removed and I'm just a conduit essentially, and the story is out there somewhere and now it's on my computer screen, but it's not really my work. As strange as that sounds, I don't feel like I'm creating it, I'm just passing it along. That's the absolute pinnacle of fun that I can have doing this.
The Transparent One's practice is called the single-minded way, or one railway track thousands of miles long. The railway track is always the same. If it were to become wider or narrower, it would be disastrous. Wherever you go, the railway track is always the same. That is the Transparent One's practice. So even if the sun were to rise from the west, the Transparent One has only one practice. His or her way is, in each moment, to express his or her nature and sincerity. We say railroad track, but actually there is no such thing. Sincerity itself is the railroad track. The sights we see from the train will change, but we are always running on the same track, and there is no beginning or end to the track, beginningless and endless track. There is no starting point, no goal, nothing to attain. Just to run on the track is our way. This is the nature of our practice.
I choose my practice. I travel on this track. Here I encounter a mountain range, and there a forest, and here an ocean, and there a river, and beyond a city, and the scenes keep flying by. Here I see someone being born. Here someone is dying. Here is a cornfield. Here is a couple getting married. Over there is a divorce. Here is an illness, and there is a love affair. Here is a new job, and there a retirement. In this place, I experience anger and disappointment. In another place, joy and triumph. As I travel on this track, this practice I have chosen, I encounter all of these different scenes, all these different events, but my focus remains upon my practice. It is the track that delivers me from one event or encounter to the next, to the next, to the next. It is the practice that gives me guidance and orientation through all of the circumstances of my life. It is this track, not the external scenes flying by me, upon which I center. It is easy to mistake the fleeting scenes for my life, but they are not. It is the practice upon which I focus.
But when you become curious about the railway track, danger is there. You should not see the railway track. If you look at the track, you will become dizzy. Just appreciate the sights you see from the train. That is our way. To be a monk is to have time to practice for your transformation and healing. And after that, to help with the transformation and healing of other people.
The great practice, greater than any other, is the practice of living in reality, the practice of acknowledging, honoring, and valuing ultimate reality more than anything. But how do I do this? How do I practice an intentional interior life? How do I daily and moment by moment acknowledge ultimate reality and the mystery of the great ontological deep of which I am an expression? How do I practice a personal relationship to that which is really real? How do I practice a personal relationship to the great ontological deep? Join me in this, my singular quest, my consuming obsession. This journey is just beginning.